Tonight, the Supreme Court of Canada declines to hear an appeal from Doug Snellgrove, and that means the RNC officer will serve his sentence for sexual assault. That plus these other stories.
A young family is rattled but resilient following a brazen home invasion here in Carbonear.
Very anxious, and I'm quite scared to go to sleep tonight.
I hope you get the help you need, but I really hope the justice system doesn't fail me.
I'm Terry Roberts. I'll have that story coming up.
It's warm, it's windy, and there are big brown patches on top of Marble Mountain.
We want to get them back to work as soon as possible. We're trying to salvage what we can here.
I'm Colleen Connors, and I'll take you there tonight and let you know an update on when skiers and snowboarders can get back up on the hill.
It's arguably the largest night in snowmobiling in Newfoundland and Labrador. It's fan night here at Canes Quest in the Labrador City Arena. I'm live, and we're going to talk about that race coming up.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Here and now, we'll get to those stories shortly, but first, Cougar has grounded its helicopter flights to and from the province's offshore. This after a fatal crash in the North Sea last night. Reporting from Reuters says the Sikorsky S-92 helicopter was carrying 6 people off the coast of Norway when it crash landed, and that all 6 were rescued from the sea. Equinor says people in the group were all company employees on a search and rescue training assignment, and that one of those employees has died. The aircraft is the same helicopter used to shuttle offshore workers from this province to all 4 oil-producing fields, as well as to any exploration drill rigs. It's also the same model of helicopter used during Cougar Flight 491, which crashed off the coast of Newfoundland in March of 2009, killing 17 of the 18 people on board. Today's flights to and from Hebron, Hibernia, and the Terra Nova FPSO were all canceled. Well, on its website this afternoon, the head of Equinor says this is a deeply tragic incident. We have lost an accomplished and dear colleague. He says the cause of the accident is not yet known, but the company has halted all regular flights on the Norwegian continental shelf out of consideration for those affected and to get an overview of the situation. Well, in other news, the Supreme Court of Canada will not hear an appeal in the case of an RNC officer who was convicted of sexual assault. It's a final decision from the courts, bringing an end to Doug Snellgrove's lengthy and tumultuous case. Here and Now's Heather Gillis reports.
The case has been a roller coaster of ups and downs for Snellgrove and the victim, known as Jane Doe, winding its way through the courts since 2016. It's now come to an end nearly a decade after the offense, with a final decision from the Supreme Court of Canada. Today, that court dismissed the case and said it will not hear an appeal. It comes after 3 court trials. Snellgrove was acquitted after the first one in 2017, which prompted protests. The second trial, a mistrial due to an issue dismissing jurors. It wasn't until 2021 that Snellgrove was convicted of sexual assault and sentenced to 4 years in prison. After that conviction, a number of women came forward with claims that they were also sexually assaulted by Royal Newfoundland Constabulary officers. In the meantime, Snellgrove appealed his conviction to the Newfoundland and Labrador Supreme Court. Now, that court unanimously dismissed the case. Then Snellgrove appealed the decision to the Supreme Court of Canada. Snellgrove was on duty in 2014 when he drove the victim home from a St. John's bar in a patrol car and helped her inside the house. The survivor testified she was drunk and couldn't remember consenting to sex. She says she recalled regaining consciousness in the middle of sex. Snellgrove remains a constable with the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary and is out on bail, now required to turn himself in. He's been suspended without pay since he was charged in 2015. Internal discipline matters, they've been halted during these criminal proceedings. In a statement, the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary says that its public complaints process can now begin and that the RNC chief will preside over that process. The force isn't doing interviews, but in a statement, Media Relations Officer James Cadigan says to protect the integrity of the public complaints process, the chief cannot comment on this case. Heather Gillis, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, meanwhile, Kathleen O'Reilly, the Crown prosecutor in that case, is reacting to the Supreme Court's decision to dismiss Snellgrove's appeal. O'Reilly says it's a tremendous relief.
There's finally, some finality to the process and some accountability, and that there's justice in the end. And hopefully at this point, Jane Doe can find some closure and she can move on with her life, because it really takes a tremendous amount of strength and bravery to just stay with the process, to stay engaged with the process and participate in the process for that long of a time.
In other court news, convicted murderer Craig Pope will have to serve 11 years before he's eligible for parole. A judge handed down that decision in a St. John's courtroom this afternoon. Pope was convicted of second-degree murder in December, and that comes with an automatic life sentence and no parole for at least 10 years. Pope stabbed and killed 36-year-old Jonathan Collins in September of 2017 during a fight in the street near Mundy Pond Road in St. John's. Collins, a father of two, bled out on the road. Pope was first convicted of murder in 2019, but he appealed and was given a new trial. The Crown was arguing Pope should serve 12 years before applying for parole. Well, a mother and daughter are sharing a chilling story tonight following a home invasion this week that saw a shirtless stranger flop uninvited into their bed. Luckily, no one was injured and the culprit is in custody. And as Terry Roberts reports, the victims say they won't let this incident upend their lives.
As you can see, I'm over there. There's some footprints in the snow. And right there you can see two footprints. That's where he got over the fence.
Holly Marsh is reliving Tuesday night. This is how it started. Someone is in the garage on the second floor. Then this. The stranger snoops around the back of the Carbonear home. He discovers the sliding patio door is unlocked and just walks inside. Moments later, quiet quickly turns to chaos for a mother and daughter. The man walks through the kitchen, takes a sharp right turn down a hallway, and enters the master bedroom, where Holly and her daughter Corabella are relaxing. First, the man hides at the foot of the bed, and then this happens.
When he stood up and ripped off his sweater, he flopped into the bed, and I had jumped at it a bit. It happened very quick. So the second he was coming on my bed, I was off the bed, and he flipped the blankets up over his head and cuddled in. I noticed that he had on this big pair of work boots with a black bottom.
Holly tells her daughter to run. She hurls a string of expletives through the darkness at the unknown figure curled up beneath the sheets.
A half-naked man jumped in my bed that I didn't know.
After a few seconds, Holly and Corabella are outside their house. In the cold, they ran to their neighbors in bare feet and called police. When the RCMP arrived, the intruder was still in the house. He had made his way into the basement, sampled this bed, before settling down in this closet.
The police found this guy in here. This is our closet. He was lied down there next to this big teddy bear, and that blanket over there was over him.
You can't just randomly walk to somebody's house and just call it your home.
Holly Marsh understands that many people are struggling with addictions and mental health problems, and housing and cost of living challenges. But what happened Tuesday evening is where her sympathy ends.
My home is my safe place. My bedroom is my other safe place, but my bed is my comfort place. That's where I take refuge after every single day, and no, you don't do that. And I hope you get the help you need, but I really hope the justice system doesn't fail me. And I hope he's kept in custody. I hope he's not let out so he can go and terrorize other people.
When all this happened, Holly's husband was working in Ontario. Matthew Marsh wanted to return to his family, but Holly assured them that they're okay.
As much as I would love for him to come home right now, as much as he wants to be here, but he's individual is just not worth it.
As she replays Tuesday night, Holly thinks about what could have happened.
What if this person had a knife? What if this person had something else? What if they tried to sexually assault me or my daughter? It's kind of replaying that over in my head and thinking, what would I have done if that happened?
And this 10-year-old is struggling.
Very anxious, and I'm quite scared to go to sleep tonight.
Holly plans to make a few changes to the house, such as more security sensors and being more vigilant about locking the doors. And there's one more thing.
The bed's going to the dump. It's going. The mattress is going to the dump. It'll never be slept on again.
The RCMP, meanwhile, arrested this man, 41-year-old Wade Darren Smith. He's facing a string of charges, leaving the victims trying to make sense of it all. Terry Roberts, CBC News, Carbonear.
Well, it was certainly a warm day today, but take a look at this video taken by Damian Weber right at the end of Mud Lake Road in Happy Valley Goose Bay. His friends were taking their dogs across and they got stuck, so he was trying to help them out. There is an incredible amount of water there, but he says that tomorrow he's going to lace up his skates and hit the ice thanks to some cold temperatures that are on the way. Just that is a lot of water on the ice for sure. Just take a look at the temperatures. This is the drop that we're talking about, 8-9 degrees this afternoon, down to -8 in Happy Valley Goose Bay. And we're going to continue to see these drops in temperature really across the island and the rest of Labrador as we head through the next couple of hours. But a lot of temperature records broken today. It's a leap year, so these records every 4 years, I guess. But Cartwright in Labrador picked up temperature, or topped out at about 13 degrees today. That is the warmest temperature recorded in February anywhere across Labrador. So we've certainly got that warm air. Like I said, not lasting long. We'll get into that when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, 5 days after a flood caused a massive mess, Marble Mountain Ski Resort in Steady Brook remains closed. Today's warm weather and wind isn't helping, but as Here and Now's Colleen Connors reports, staff say the season is far from over.
It looks like late April on the hill today. 12 degrees and brown patches sticking out between the snow. The ground is soft and wet, and it's very windy.
A few tears brought to my eyes, for sure, I won't lie, but again, seeing the good mixed in amongst all the bad. We're trying to salvage what we can here.
The always optimistic Wells says the man-made snow has helped a lot. With cold temperatures coming tonight and tomorrow, the hill will partially open this weekend, with the Black Maria and Country Road trails on the Lightning Express side accessible to skiers and snowboarders. Somehow, this chairlift system came out unscathed during Sunday's flood when hundreds of tons of mud and fill flowed down one of the slopes like a river. Well, as for that big muddy hole behind me, Wells says that crews are now finished leveling off the earth to make up for the big flood that happened last weekend. And that big pile of white man-made snow over there, well, the groomers are going to put that all over the top of this muddy mess before the hill opens. This week's closure isn't just bad news for the riders. It's meant no pay for the Hill's 160 unionized employees.
We want to get them back to work as soon as possible. And the local economy, not only our employees need this, but a lot of snow clearing, the bars, the restaurants. When we're busy, everything else around is busy. So, we see the need, not only for our employees and for our customer base, but to be, back and ready to go for the local economy, that it means so much to the Corner Brook and Humber Valley region in winter, that, we are an iconic gem here on the West Coast.
A gem that Wells says may have to start putting more money and effort into man-made snow and readjusting its ski season to ensure Marble Mountain has a strong future in an ever-changing climate. Colleen Connors, CBC News, Steady Brook.
Well, former TV and radio broadcaster Fred Hutton is now a cabinet minister. Hutton became the province's newest MHA a month ago, and this morning he became the Liberal government's newest Minister of Housing. Here Now's Mark Quinn reports.
At a Government House ceremony this morning, the former senior advisor to the Premier was beaming. On January 30th, Fred Hutton won the Conception Bay East Bell Island by-election.
Tory, no more! Fred Hutton!
This morning at 8:30 a.m., the Lieutenant Governor swore him in as the new Minister of Housing. Hutton has completed his transition from asking questions to answering them.
You got to get used to this size of camera.
Oh, okay. I'm confident that I'm ready for this. I've chatted with the Premier a little bit over the last day or so about it, and I'm really looking forward to the role.
Housing is now a standalone portfolio. The minister formerly responsible for it, Paul Pike, will retain his other responsibilities, including the Department of Children, Seniors and Social Development. Fury explained the change to reporters.
Housing has become a top priority for governments across the nation, and we're no different here. We know that given the influx of immigration, which is a good and positive thing, and some of the struggles with the cost of living, that housing is taking on a new dynamic right now in the provincial context and in the national context. And consequently, I felt it was appropriate to give it its due attention with its own department and its own minister, just responsible for housing and the Housing Corporation.
The House of Assembly is back in session on Monday. Fury said the provincial budget, the healthcare crisis, and the housing crisis will be priorities. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
We have everything the world needs right now, and it's right here in Newfoundland and Labrador.
Well, that's Premier Andrew Fury speaking to the crowd at a $500 a plate fundraiser last night. He used the night to promote industry in the province. Talking to reporters later, Fury said he conditionally supports the return of low-level flight training to Labrador. As we reported last night on Here and Now, the German Air Force is considering bringing the training back. Labrador Innu protested the training when it started in the 80s, and in a statement sent yesterday, the Innu Nation said low-level flying is still of grave concern. Now, Fury says he is on board as long as it has the support of Indigenous communities.
It's a great source of economic diversification for the people of Happy Valley Goose Bay. It's an incredible asset. When you look at the geopolitical tensions that exist around the world right now, and who our allies are and potentially who our allies are not, Goose Bay and Five-Wing Goose Bay offers an amazing opportunity in an asset that has been well maintained for Canada and our NATO allies to partner in exercises together. That said, it would have to be done in consultation with the appropriate Indigenous groups. And as I understand it, that's going to be the approach from the federal government. But I would fully endorse it as a province, yes.
Well, the racers are ready and the snowmobiles are in place at the Labrador City Arena. More than 30 teams, 60 races, and hundreds of thousands of dollars of snowmobiles are there. It's fan night this evening following a day of mandatory checks on equipment and gear. Our Jeremy Eaton has been hanging around the machines, racers, and organizers today, chatting about the challenging race that lies ahead. And he joins us now live from inside the arena. So, Jeremy, get us up to speed.
Well, for one, it's very loud here in the Labrador Arena in Labrador City, or the Labrador City Arena, I should say. But fan night is well underway. As you can see, there's a number of machines behind me, some racers sitting there. Fans can come up, ask questions, have their pictures taken. Now, I spoke to a number of the racers earlier today when they were getting checked in. And yeah, the weather is a factor, but so there is, on the south coast of Labrador, there will be a lot of exposed rock. There's not as much snow as people would have liked. But here in this room, full of those 60 racers, more than 60 racers that you just talked about, no one here is deterred by that. They say that's all a part of Kane's quest. Now, to learn a little more about the race, I spoke with the chair of the board, Chris Lacey, earlier today. Have a listen.
This year we unfortunately are back to 32. We started with 37, but a couple teams didn't show up at registration, and there was a couple that had last-minute racer dropouts and stuff and couldn't pull people together. So I think starting off the line we'll have 32 teams, which is still actually fairly phenomenal for a racing within 1 year with low preparation time and stuff. So, which is good for the race too. That's healthy numbers. This is where all our hard work pays off. This is where all our volunteers are coming together. This is when Labrador becomes one, and so it's very exciting to see. It's very easy to see what happened and all the work that's putting into it is paying off. So the excitement is extraordinaries through the roof. Like you said, you see here, it's crazy. So it's very good to happen. Our board is excited, our staff are excited, everybody around our group is very excited to be part of this.
Can or a cup?
All across Labrador, there's definitely no way, shape, or form we can do it with any less than 500 people. We can't do it without that, and every year we get a little nervous because it's like people are late volunteering, people are late to make commitments, which we understand because it is a big commitment. Some people have to take some time off of work or whatnot, and vacation plans and all that stuff having to line up, but we wouldn't be able to do it without them. But yeah, it takes 500 volunteers to put this off. It's been crazy challenging when it comes to time commitment for volunteers. It's been hard on our sponsors. It's been hard on our funders. It's been hard on a lot of stuff when it comes to back-to-back, because there's a lot of, as anybody can imagine, there's a lot of planning that has to get put into this race. And so it was very stressful at times to get things and make sure stuff was done. Timelines were very, very short to get a lot of things done. But everybody on my team put every minute they could put into it, and we pulled it off. We got it. We're here. Start line's on Sunday. Racers are excited. Towns are excited. We did it. It's actually heartwarming to get it. Do you know what I mean? People are actually wanting Cane's Quest to thrive, to survive. They want Cane's Quest to come through. So it's actually very heartwarming to see that and to have people come on board and see all the hard work paid off and see what people want. And to know what everybody's excited about it means Cane's Quest means something to somebody. And to have that, known to people and see the excitement that gets there, it just goes to show that the race will live on.
So we're here live in the Labrador City Arena, which we've never been able to do before, and we are here because, as Chris was just talking about, this event has brought the community together, and the community helped us bring this out with Wayne from CRRS, the local internet and cable provider here. He put in a little special Wi-Fi for us, which allows us to be able to go live here. So there's a lot of young people around enjoying the sights and the sounds, a lot of free stickers being given out, a lot of excitement here. We spoke to a number of racers today. We're going to speak to a number of racers tomorrow as well. But coming up later on in the show, my colleague Alex Kennedy chatted with the youngest racer in this race. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that. Reporting live from the Labrador City Arena, I'm Jeremy Eaton for Here and Now.
Well, here's another live shot. It's a live look at St. John's Harbour. You can't quite see it right now, but Cabot Tower is glowing blue tonight. It's to raise awareness for Rare Disease Day, which falls on the last day of February. We'll hear about how rare diseases affects patients and their families in this province. That's tomorrow evening on Here and Now.
Well, the temperatures are going to drop dramatically thanks to this cold front that will sweep across the province tonight. I'll get into all the details when I come back.
This weather update is brought to you by the Healthcare Foundation Home Lottery. The bonus prize deadline is midnight, Friday, April 12th. Order tickets now at hcfhomelottery.ca.
Well, happy Leap Day, Ashley. It was really interesting what you mentioned earlier about the effect that Leap Day and leap years have on weather records, because you only get records for this day once every 4 years.
That's right. And, you know, judging by those records that we saw there, we've broke quite a few of them this afternoon. Take a look at these temperatures. 13 degrees in Cartwright. As I mentioned earlier, just in case you missed it, that is the warmest temperature ever recorded in Labrador in February ever. And further inland, there were a couple of other unofficial temperatures that were recorded that were around 14 degrees. So certainly some warm air today. Not quite as warm in Lab City, though, 4 degrees, but your temperature dropped 22 degrees in 2 hours this morning. And we've got that temperature falling across the island as well. So daytime highs topping out around 12 degrees for the west coast. Further east, though, in St. John's, we topped out at about 8 degrees this afternoon. The reason for that is this area of low pressure and that associated cold front. You can see just how cold that air is behind there. All this upper level cold air is dropping the temperatures and also changing the rain that is falling over to snow quite quickly. And that is going to continue to happen as this cold front continues to sweep further east. So if we take a look at the current temperatures now, it is minus 22 in Lab City with a wind chill near minus 34. And we still have those temperatures around 10 degrees in Cartwright, but those temperatures are certainly going to drop as this front moves through down to 0 in Corner Brook. Same thing for Deer Lake as this continues to edge further east, still at about 7 or 8 degrees further east. But like I said, that temperature is going to drop. You can really see that on the satellite and radar. We lost it a little bit earlier today, but it's back. But it is slowly working its way east. Not really amounting to much as far as snowfall is concerned, but we are seeing some slick roads certainly on the west coast of the island. So expect that to continue as this snow tracks further east, as this cold front continues to track further east, rather. So if we take a look at what's going on warning wise, that flash freeze warning still in effect for coastal areas of Labrador. Flash freeze just means that you're going to see a significant drop in temperatures in a short amount of time. So all the melting that has happened will turn to ice very quickly. And then in behind this area of low pressure, this extreme cold warning in place for Lab City. Your temperatures tonight quite cold. Your wind chills likely into the minus 40s. So let's take a look at the future tracker. It will start to move further east, this front anyway, by the time we get through the next couple of hours. So Central next on tap to see that transition through to snow and drop in temperatures. And this will happen overnight for the Avalon. Eventually the snow will end by the time we get to the 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning hour. And then we've got this pretty much good setup for the west coast to see some snow squalls. In behind this, we've got that cold air and that exposed water there. That's a pretty good setup. So we'll see that by the time we get into the morning hours. Temperatures tonight, quite dramatic. Minus 7 to minus 12, a little cooler for the northern peninsula, and then again, minus 20s up across Labrador. It's those winds out of the west for Lab West that will bring that extreme cold warning into play. Like I said, with their wind chills into the minus 40s. So for tomorrow, quiet for the most part. We're looking at some periods of sun and cloud through the day, likely some potential for flurries or squalls on the west coast, maybe even the south coast, the Burin Peninsula, and we could see some of that flurry activity for the Avalon as well. Up across Labrador, you're generally just looking at some cloud cover and also the potential for a few flurries. Now, that will really continue through Saturday morning, but we should start to see that potential for squalls let up by the time we get into the afternoon hours. Now, tomorrow, you're generally looking at your temperatures well below 0, minus 5 in St. John's with those winds out of the west, around 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. We're looking at a similar story. Like I said, some sunshine likely, some periods of sun and cloud. We may see some of these flurries make their way to Grand Falls, Windsor. But mostly on the west coast, you're looking at cloudy skies and squalls through the day with the winds westerly anywhere from 30 to 60 kilometers per hour, but quite cold. Minus 11 in St. Anthony, and again, Cartwright. What a difference in temperatures for tomorrow morning even, or tomorrow afternoon. You're looking at nearly 30-degree temperature difference. And then for the rest of Labrador, minus teens with winds gusty anywhere from 60 to 80 kilometers per hour. Now there is another warm up on the way. We'll get into that when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, it's not every year that we have 29 days in February. In fact, Leap Day only happens once every 4 years. Now, for leap year babies, it can cause a bit of confusion. What do you do when there's no February 29th on the calendar? Do you celebrate the day before or the day after? Well, Julie Myers of St. John's is celebrating a milestone birthday today. She's 10 years old, or is she 40 years old? We dropped by just before the big birthday party.
I'd say maybe about age 8, I probably really started to figure it out. And I would have been two at age 8, which is hilarious to tell your 8-year-old friends that you're still 2 years old, you know. It's still hilarious now at 40 that I'm 10. One year, this was years ago, I had stumbled upon this website, this group of individuals who are all born on the leap year, and they call themselves Februarians. So I maintain that I am a Februarian. I feel like I'm born on February 28th, on the years, of course, that there's no leap year. I get calls on both days. Like half of my family call me on the 28th, half call me on the 1st, and there's other people who call me on both days too, because they think it's funny. I think it might even be part of the curriculum that you learn about the leap year. Actually, my children right now are learning about it, and they have a leap-a-thon, which is like a lap-a-thon, which is really cute.
Ice-breaking, you said.
So we find ourselves in these different corporate-like situations, different conferences and stuff like that, just in my work anyways, where you're at a table with strangers, and you know, they always ask you, tell us one interesting thing about you. So it's always my go-to that I bring up that I'm born on a leap year. And it's just really interesting because it just gets that conversation going and started, and then people ask questions and, you know, ask my feelings on it. And yeah, my guests are here.
I'm Alex Kennedy, live in Labrador City. Earlier this week, leading up to Cane's Quest, we spoke with the youngest racer in this race. You'll hear from Caleb Cousins coming up.
Let's return now to Labrador City, where fans of Canes Quest are gearing up for the epic snowmobile race. Next week, 35 teams will set out to cover more than 3,000 kilometers, starting and ending in Labrador West. Our Alex Kennedy is live in Labrador City tonight. So, Alex, I understand you've had a chance to meet some of the racers.
That's right, Carolyn. We met some of the racers earlier this week, and now tonight is the residents of Labrador West's turn. We're here at Fan Night in Labrador City. It's a chance for residents to connect with the racers, see the gear, ask them questions, all that things like that. The energy is really high right now. I'm sure you can hear the music behind me. Now, earlier this week, I was able to speak to the youngest racer in this thing. He got just under the wire. Have a listen to Caleb Cousins. Caleb Cousins won't be in a classroom next week. Instead, he'll be sitting on a snowmobile, racing through the Labrador wilderness. He turned 18 1 month ago, making him just old enough to register for Canes Quest. It usually takes months of preparation to get ready for this race, but Caleb has only had a week.
Really nervous, really, because there's a lot of things that could go wrong, but there's a lot of things that could go right, and it's a really dangerous thing to do. But
Cousins' teammate Colin Vardy has been around Canes Quest for years and saw 2024 as his chance to finally cross it off his bucket list. When Vardy's first teammate fell through, he didn't have to look far for a substitute. The teenager works in the parts department of Vardy's industrial shop.
I think this kid is onto something. He just turned 18 years old. He's very capable from what I've seen so far. I guess next week we'll give the ultimate test. I have to make sure that I'm not bringing him home injured or in a wheelchair or in a body bag. So we're going to take our time.
There's a 3,500-kilometer journey ahead of the pair, and Cousins says he's eager to see how far they can go. And while there's potential danger around every turn, the young racer can't wait to see the big land like he's never seen it before.
It's really special, just not being from here, never really grown up on skidoos really, and just coming here, now I'm doing one of the biggest skidooing races in the country. So.
Now, Carolyn, Caleb hopes that him being in this race can get other young racers involved in future races. He's here tonight at Fan Night brushing shoulders with some of the older racers who have been able to give him a lot of advice ahead of the start of Canes Quest on Sunday. For Here and Now, I'm Alex Kennedy, live in Labrador City.
Well, sticking with winter sports, the Newfoundland and Labrador Winter Games picked up again today, marking the halfway point for the competition. Here Now's Troy Turner caught up to some athletes as they settled into the Games experience.
I love our team, and we're here for the experience, and what my coach wants to take away from this is for everyone to respect us as players and as a team, and yeah, I think it's going to be awesome. Best part of it, I think that I'm going to meet a lot of new people and players from like different districts and stuff, so I think that's going to be awesome.
I enjoy being here. It's fun. I like to get active. It's amazing. You get to really get to know everyone. It's really refreshing, you know? Like, you get to go out of your comfort zone and talk to a bunch of new people. Just really refreshing.
I think it's wicked.
What's wicked about it?
I like how there's everybody around. There's so many people, and then hanging out with my team, and it's so fun around meeting all the new people. It's just so, it's everything. Everybody is so hyped up for it, you know? Like, everybody is so into it. It's so, everything is, it's like, it feels really special.
I'm really excited. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to meet new people, see my old friends. I know a good lot of people here from different teams and sports.
Really cool being able to travel around for sport. A little chaotic with all the people going around. All of it's really cool. It's all new, right? 'Cause just being with people, like all new people, and having fun and playing. Yeah.
For other people, I would say it's probably very excited. For me, I'm just trying to keep it calm so that I don't burn myself out. Probably take back some experience with being at a different place with different people. And I'm usually shy, so I've made a few friends and I can take back that with me as well.
It's a different, most of the tournaments I'm in is just between eastern Newfoundland or places near me, but this is all around Newfoundland, which is a lot different and a big change. I think that I will remember this for a very long time because it's kind of like a once in a lifetime type of thing. So, and I'm enjoying it so far as well, which is good.
It's really nice. I met lots of new people. So far, it's been a great experience. Well, there's a lot of other opportunities to meet new people and try other things. I don't really care where I place. I'm just happy I made it this far.
Critics of the proposed wind to hydrogen to ammonia mega project on the island's west coast say Ottawa is putting the cart before the horse. World Energy GH2 secured a $128 million loan from the federal government this week, but the project hasn't been approved and an environmental assessment is still underway. Nick Mercer is with the group EnviroWatch.
Yeah, I was quite concerned to see this loan instrument there yesterday evening, $120 million to support the activities of the project. And my main qualm is not with the financial instrument in and of itself, but of how this affects the overall process of the governance and the approval of this mega project. And I believe it's putting the cart before the horse. So we have a project on the one hand that's actively under regulatory scrutiny. It has not received an environmental assessment permit. And matter of fact, that its first attempt at getting an environmental assessment permit, the province was quite critical of its activities and asked it to essentially try again. And despite this fact, we have another level of government making tens of millions of dollars available. So I think preemptively awarding this type of funding to a private sector company helps to erode public trust in our regulatory process, and it questions the legitimacy of the processes that we have in place.
This EIS has not even been accepted yet, and this feels like it's a done deal. So we've got all of this money that's going to be given to this plant, to build this plant. There is so much room for things to fail, and we're rushing this through. We need to slow down. We haven't done any studies whatsoever on any of this. So this is all a big rush. And for what? It's like, I feel like this is the gold rush. Everybody's rushing to get things done.
I have a 2-year-old at home, and we always read him the story of the tortoise and the hare. And sometimes when you try to go as fast as you possibly can, you end up shooting yourself in the foot and making all kinds of mistakes. And sometimes slow and steady is the most effective pathway to get a project over the finish line in order to ensure the long-term vitality of energy transitions. Because what has been shown to happen in practice is when you rush things, when you cram them down people's throat, when you take a bulldozer to a development site, this can lead to, it can hasten, it can encourage political and social movements which threaten the future of an entire industry. And I'm not making these things up. We only have to look at Alberta, who just finished a 7-month moratorium on this is the biggest renewable energy industry in the country right now in Alberta. They just finished a 7-month moratorium on renewable energy because of public concerns associated with hastened development. So going slow, treating perceptions seriously, fairly distributing benefits, working towards consent and license and support of communities is not just good intrinsically, it's good business practice as well.
Between November and January, an elderly couple in Nova Scotia's Annapolis Valley was cut off, left without the use of their landline. Their family is speaking about it, raising concerns over the couple's safety in the event of an emergency. And as Angela McIver reports, their story speaks to a larger issue being felt by families in rural areas.
When Jim Sackaman's landline stopped working last November, he lost a lifeline.
I actually couldn't remember my own number, and I reacted in crisis.
The outage lasted 7 weeks. The 76-year-old and his partner struggle with memory issues, and his loved ones say a cell phone is not an option.
There's a true disability there in terms of his ability to learn that new skill at this point in his life with his medical conditions.
CBC News took their concerns to the CRTC. It says it's concerned about this situation and encouraged the family to file a complaint, writing, "The CRTC ensures that major telephone companies like Bell make basic voice telephone services available to their customers, and these companies are required to maintain their networks."
Effectively, these folks have had a disconnection.
This advocate calls the case egregious and says he isn't surprised to hear Sackaman's landline is still connected by old copper wire, which makes repairs more difficult. As Bell works to replace that network with fiber optic across the country, he says many rural customers are left on the edge.
That's just too low a quality of service, I think. And the CRTC could be doing more during this transition to ask or tell the companies to keep up their level of service on the copper until it's replaced.
Sackaman's family believes landline should be a priority for phone companies, calling them a right.
They're paying for it, and that's what they need in this house. They should have a consistent service provided to them.
In a statement, Bell said the goal is to get customers back in service as quickly and safely as possible by prioritizing repairs with the largest customer impact, like cell tower repairs. Bell said once those are done, crews restore service to smaller groups of customers and individuals.
The company did not say why it took 2 months to repair Sackaman's landline, but it did credit his account. Angela McIver, CBC News, Halifax.
All right, before we get to the weather, Colleen Connors brought us back to Marble Mountain tonight, where crews are hustling to put some man-made snow back on the hill.
Yeah, well, Gross Morin made a tough call today. Effective immediately, no more snowmobiling in the park until at least March 15th. That's when Parks Canada will reassess the situation. So that applies to all areas of the park. It says that the dates for the season are subject to change, but based on the snow and weather conditions. and the environmental impact, of course. So people can visit the park's Facebook page or website for updates. So the good news is, well, there's the chance of some flurries. We've got this unfortunately mild air. For some people, you like it, but snowmobilers are certainly not liking that. But that cold air that is on its way in now is going to lead to the potential for some snow squalls tomorrow. This will continue through the night on Friday. Eventually, as we get into Saturday, though, that risk will generally let up. We'll likely still see some onshore flurries, but it isn't really going to amount to too much. We'll likely see 5 to 10 centimeters and maybe a little bit more than that in the higher elevations. And again, it will be highly dependent on where those squalls set up for tomorrow and into early Saturday. After that, though, we should start to see some of these winds ease a little bit. It will be windy, but as we get into Saturday, those winds will finally ease, and we should see some sunshine as well for a good chunk of the afternoon. We've got some snow moving back in Saturday evening for the western portion of Labrador, and that will move towards the coast again into early Sunday. Temperatures are going to warm up from that deep freeze that we're seeing now, anywhere from -2 to -9 for most of the big land. In northern portions of the coast, rather, you're going to see your temperatures a little cooler than that, and we'll generally see those temperatures hovering near or a few degrees below zero across the island on Saturday. But again, we should see some sunshine, and around this time of year, this is when that warm sun, you certainly start to feel the warmth of that sun. Now, as we head into Saturday evening and then into Sunday morning, another warm up on the way. This one will likely bring some more showers. Potentially higher elevations will stay into that snow at least through the morning, but by the afternoon, we'll see a better chance of showers pretty much across the island. Labrador still looking at that chance of flurries through the day, especially towards the coast as you get into the evening hours, the flurries. But as temperatures are going to be quite mild, as you can see, we will probably see a few showers to start, especially towards the coast. Now, a warm up definitely on the way across the island, though, between 4 and 8 degrees again for your Sunday. The long-range forecast showing those warm temperatures above zero anyway are going to stick around through Monday. We'll see another drop in temperatures by the time we get into Tuesday. And for central Newfoundland, you'll see the warm temperatures continue, really the mild temperatures anyway, through Tuesday, dropping back down to zero for western Newfoundland by the time you get to that time frame. And then for Labrador, it is going to be a roller coaster for you again. You're back up above zero for Sunday for eastern and coastal areas, but then back down, but a quiet stretch of weather with some sunshine. And then for western Labrador, you're going to stay below zero, and your overnight lows are going to stay in the -20s for Sunday and Monday. Our weather photo today. Love this shot. This was in Mary's Harbor, where it reached 8 degrees today. And Quinton says, who needs Florida? It's a great question. If you have any weather photos to share with us, send them to nophotos@cbc.ca.
Looks so comfortable out there, soaking in the sunshine while you can.
The funny thing is about this time of year, we get these mild spells, but if it was 10 degrees in
June,
we wouldn't be so happy.
Yeah, we'd be freezing, be shivering. But this time of year, we'll take everything we can get.
Exactly.
Well, that's it for us. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us.
Good night.